Hello everyone and welcome to Mentos Looks at the Delver's Drop Alpha. Now it should be noted before we get underway here that this is not the alpha that was planned to be released on the day today. They ran into some snags, had to push that back a little bit because they weren't going to make the submission deadline. So what they did instead was to upload the PAX East demo, which if you've seen any videos of this game on YouTube before, that is the version that we are seeing right here. Obviously this version wasn't originally intended to be the one put out there. It is much older than the current pre-alpha build that they're working on, or alpha build that they're working on for release to Kickstarter backers. But it's at least a little bit that we can take a look at, and it'll give us kind of a baseline for how things have changed since this build when we get into the actual alpha, which should be in the next several days. They said sometime by next week they're hoping. But in case they run into any snags, they haven't quite solidified a date like they did before. So we're just going to jump in here and see what we can do while we have this build. Obviously, since this isn't the planned build, there might not be as many videos on this as I had planned to have on the alpha. This might be even my only quick look at this build before they release the new version. This is, if you aren't familiar, kind of constricted to the endless drop mode, which is where you just kind of have a series of rooms that you drop through and see how far you can make it. Whereas the current pre-alpha that will be hitting Kickstarter backers soon is a continuous dungeon, more like the final game will be. But for now, we're just going to kind of see how this game plays, see how it looks. Kind of controlling it for ourselves, which is a big change from just seeing it on YouTube for me. So far it feels really good. I'm sure they've made improvements and stuff, but the controls seem nice. The graphics are awesome. I absolutely love the art style. And we got a little bit of meat, which we can't use. And we're gonna go smash these crates and barrels. So essentially all we're gonna be doing here is trying to survive as long as we can. Which will be taking us through a series of rooms. We'll probably see some repeat rooms in here, but once again, this is a very old pre-alpha build, so even if we don't spend that long with the game, running into repeats isn't that surprising. This was kind of designed specifically for a press demo during the Kickstarter and a build just to have something playable at PAX East. It wasn't really designed to be played by the public. So I'm not sure how much time this is going to get us, but I'm at least going to take a quick look at it. Obviously, if you've been following the channel, you know I'm pretty excited for this game's full alpha release. Nonetheless, full release of the game eventually on its own. But, yeah, so I'm kind of happy to get my hands on anything related to the game. Even if it's not the alpha we were waiting for. It's something playable that gives us an idea of how this is going to go, and I'm quite happy with that. We want to move these so we don't get hit by these shots, and that actually pressed the button for me, which is perfect. And we'll go down here, smash these. Of course, the controls should be talked about. It is a little bit floaty, I guess you would say, in that you slide a lot. I don't know if they've changed this since in the current build, but B, it actually kind of works. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Granted, I haven't played for too long, so I guess it doesn't take very much getting used to. It's just kind of not really what you would normally expect at this point. I don't know if my mouse cursor was just on screen for a long time. I apologize if it was. I think I set it to not capture the mouse cursor, but I honestly can't for the life of me remember. So we are going to smash these barrels some more, pick up some more money. And we're going to try to work our way to as far down as we can go. Let's kill this rat. And rat is going to explode. I know that from watching the press videos of this. But, where was I? Oh yeah, so you know, you're kind of slidey, which in a lot of cases can be a bad thing in games. But it does seem like it's working quite well here. I don't really feel like I'm out of control of my character. I just feel like it took a couple seconds to get used to the fact that it's quite so much where if you let go of a key, you'll keep kind of moving in that direction. But again, it's not something that's a big deal. It's just something that is worth mentioning. And again, I don't know if they've changed this in the current build of the alpha. But so far, I think we're doing pretty decently for my first time playing this. These ghosts are a pain in the neck. Oh, he teleported and got me. There's a spring over here. That got me as well, unfortunately. So we are out of armor. He's going to teleport there. Took our first hit to health now. Let's hope that we can get some kind of health back from stuff in this room. Don't want to run into these things. I think those ones are metal, so they can't be broken if I recall. We do get a little bit of health back. That's good. And we're down to the next floor. So for those of you unaware of what Delver's Drop is, this is, as I mentioned earlier, a very early press demo. That was more of a proof of concept during Kickstarter and for PAX East. This is not so much a build really meant to be played on its own. Outside of those conditions, what this is this is a pre-alpha version of what will be called Endless Drop mode, where you're fed into a series of rooms in succession, and you just simply try to see how long you survive. However, the main game is going to be based more on a consistent castle structure. Whoops, that was stupid damage to take. This rat is going to come at me. Maybe not. Now it is. And now it's going to explode. And oh, we died. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and play again. The final version is going to be more of a dungeon crawler, in the sense that we're talking about a consistent castle where you're moving through different areas. The drops will be much less frequent. You'll have to fight your way through an area and then through a boss in order to drop down to the next zone. There are going to be bosses, there's going to be leveling up, there's going to be different randomized weapons, stuff like that. So in the final version, we're talking about what is almost unequivocally an entirely different game than what you're seeing here. That was stupid of me. Just because obviously they've had many months to change things by now, and of course the first press demo slash Kickstarter playable proof of concept essentially is going to be much different than what the final game is going to be, because they haven't had the time or the resources to work on stuff that makes it the final game. Essentially, when you look at the final game, it's kind of... I'm trying to think of a good way to describe what's been suggested. In a way, it's kind of Rogue Legacy-ish. You're going to have character levels. You can progress your character as you go through the castle. Death is not necessarily permanent in what's planned for the final game. You do keep your stats, you do keep your character, but you lose any equipment that you found on the current run, and you are... what am I looking for here? You are able to move up to... I am sorry, I completely blanked. And once the final game comes around, the plan is where you will level up and everything, and you'll keep those levels, but you will lose things like your items and everything, which we actually have one of, which is a bomb, I believe, in our bottom right corner. And for that, there's going to be what's called an Undelver in the final version of the game, which is a thing not even implemented in the pre-alpha that was supposed to be released today. That will be where your character will, after dying, still be present in the area that you died, waiting for you to come back, and giving you an enemy to fight in order to get your goods back. Think of it as, from what they've described, the way that I would look at it is kind of a hostile version of bonfires in Dark Souls. Essentially, it's going to be a way to regain what you lost when you died, but in order to do so, you're going to have to fight for it, if that makes sense. So, that's one of many things. The other thing is, for those interested in more of a straight-up roguelike experience, they are planning on instituting kind of an Iron Man mode, essentially, where you will be able to set it up where if you die, you do not start back at the current zone, but start back at the beginning, lose all your levels, all your progress, and can start again. The thing to note about that is, of course, while it does open up to people like me who really enjoy a good roguelike to play it as a straight-up roguelike instead of, to use Rogue Legacy's term, roguelite, it also means that it also means that the game is more designed for a longer playtime, a more consistent, not quite so. Whoa, that was awesome! I just got knocked over the hole. That is one thing to add. This is very much physics-based, physics-enabled, I guess would be a better word. So when you blow up, you can get knocked over gaps or over holes or such, which is kind of a cool thing to have. Let's see if we can throw a bomb over here. We can. And that might kill at least a couple of the rats. It did not, but we can throw another one up here and be like, haha, rats. Now they're going to explode, which is going to cause their friend who's left over there to explode. And this rat kind of escaped and then was like, never mind, I want back in. But yeah, so this game is definitely going to have that option to play it as a straight up roguelike. But it should be recalled when you're thinking of it that way that this is going to be a game designed to be played with persistent progression. So while it's going to be very much possible to beat it as a roguelike, it's not something that is going to be, you know, Isaac style, sit down for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and make your way through a run. This is going to be something that's going to have some time commitment to get through from the jail at the beginning through to the final zone. Also, in this build, there is only the Rogue currently available. In the alpha that is due out anytime now, we are actually going to have the ability to have the Rogue or the Sorcerer playable, although class-specific abilities aren't entirely implemented yet. And we are going to have a type of... we're going to have about 50% they said of the jail and about 80% of Zone 1, which is the area directly after the jail. So there's going to be a lot more content come time for that alpha to come out. Probably something I can spend a lot more time with on the channel without it getting boring to you guys. But at the same time, it is definitely worth noting that there is going to be not that many videos on this version because this was not really meant to be something that was played a whole lot. I can probably squeeze out a lot of entertainment out of it myself, but at the same time, it's not something that I don't know is going to be watchable for extended periods of time. So I don't want to take too long on this and then have it where people think that this is any bit resembling what the final game is going to be like. So, although, admittedly, if the final game is like this, I don't think that's a bad thing. But they have said already that they made a lot of tweaks, and this is very different from the build they've currently got in the works. So, expect the next video on this to be, probably... Unless I decide that I really want to do another video on the pre-alpha here, expect the next video to be whenever the alpha is released, which should be sometime, as I mentioned, in the next several days. Probably a week at most, depending on how long it takes them to work out the final kinks they're trying to work out before they release it, and how long it takes them to get it up on Humble. So, we will break all this stuff. As you can see, of course, the lighting is dynamic, so when you destroy a light source, it also gets rid of the light created by it. Always a nice thing in games, even though it's not quite as severe as... Say, I'm going to look at one of my favorite examples of it, Perfect Dark, back on the N64, where you could literally shoot out all the lights in the one level of the airplane to make it literally 100% dark. So we got some bats in here. I could fire my wand at them, which I am apparently crappy at using, or they fly over the shots, one of the two, or both. That's the other thing to note, is that the enemies, because it is physics enabled, even though it's only a 2D plane that you're watching, the enemies do exist in 3D space. So if something is flying, something that's on the ground isn't going to affect them, whether it's an attack or an enemy or a barricade. So it's not like Binding of Isaac, where any enemies that are flying are... Actually, I think I have a perfect comparison here. It's not like the enemies in Binding of Isaac, where if they're flying, they can still be hit by like attack where they can necessarily be hit by anything on the ground, which honestly isn't really the case in Isaac, but there is the possibility of, you know, if you think that they're flying over top of Isaac's head and he's shooting tears, there does raise some questions of how that works out. In this case, anything that's on the ground level or below their flight level will be unable to touch them. But so while it's on a 2D plane, it does exist in 3D, kind of like the spider webs in Isaac, where they sit on the ground, but if you're flying, they still affect you in the air, because they're actually 3D webs that are just being portrayed in a 2D space. So it is something to remember that, you know, if there's a flying enemy and you're using a wand in this build, it won't hit them, it appears, from what I just experienced. I don't know if that'll hold up in the final build, but the point is that, you know, different attacks that are focused on different heights are going to become more important than in a standard 2D game. And kill ghost, kill ghost. No, we died. Give me 1 second here. We're at 16 minutes. Sorry, just checking something real quick. Okay, we're at 16 minutes. I think that'll give us... I think we'll do one more run of this before we call this video quits. So, we will press attack and we'll get underway here. I hope my camera up in the corner there hasn't been too intrusive. I mentioned this in an Isaac episode in what'll be posted in probably a few days from now. That I decided to start trying to go into using a face cam. It's a bit smaller on this game than it is on the one on the Isaac episodes I've done. Mostly because this is a game that, especially in this build, doesn't have really the option to play in windowed mode. So I'm using a game capture playing full screen, and that is of course making it kind of fill up the whole screen on the broadcast page. So I decided to sneak it into an unobtrusive area. Right there, there's nothing that it's covering up besides a tiny bit of the level when I'm moving around. But at the same time, it does give it a space where it's out of the way for the most part. But in order to fit it in there, I kind of had to shrink it down, since I can't actually find a way to make it less rectangular. I've been kind of wanting to make it more of a square shape so I could fit it into things a little bit easier and have a little bit of an easier time editing it in. But unfortunately right now, as far as I know, it has to stay at this current kind of awkward angle, this current kind of awkward rectangle. But I hope it's not too small to really make out, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of it. Oop. This crate had some arm. Oh. Well, we're gonna attack one more, and we're gonna go one more time, because that was just a horrible way to go. An absolutely horrible way to go. Give me 1 second while I get a drink. I apologize. Okay, so back we go. By the way, I should add the controls for this build if anyone is in the alpha who might be picking it up. The WASD keys are going to move you around, and the up arrow is going to attack, down arrow is going to use item, and left and right arrows are going to flip items back and forth. The escape button is to exit the game. F1 just brought me back to the menu. Oh, that was restart. I thought that was controller showing. Okay, so I guess one more run after all, because I was an idiot and thought that meant that was the button to show controller config, and it is, but at the current moment there is only the ability to restart, because there aren't any menus built into this pre-alpha. Obviously it was meant to kind of just be kept running after the beginning. I apologize, let me just check what my email here was. Okay, nothing that important, I apologize. And we are going to drop down to the next floor. Of course this is going to be this is planned to be definitely multi-platform. It's not just going to be Windows, it's going to work on I know they've said at least Mac and what else was there? I'm pretty sure I don't remember exactly what system it's supposed to be, but I think there's supposed to be a mobile version, a Mac, a Linux version, based on the Kickstarter rewards. There's going to be based on a stretch goal, there should be if not right at the release of the final build, soon afterwards, there should be what will be called a labyrinth mode, where it will be a preconstructed or randomized, I'm not sure which, series of rooms that are nothing but puzzles that you have to work out. And you will kind of challenge yourself to see how many levels of that you can get through. So I'm kind of excited for pretty much every mode of this game, to be honest with you. The endless drop that we're seeing version of here is fun in its own right, but I can't wait to get my hands on a full castle layout, as well as things like that labyrinth mode, the class special abilities, the ability to switch to different classes instead of just playing the rogue. The alpha, when it's out, will have at least the sorcerer as well. Right now, this build only had the rogue. So that is all we can play, is this one little character here who has undergone a bit of a aesthetic change. Oh my god, that really hurt. Oh, why? Why am I failing so hard? Okay, that was close. But yeah, the rogue has undergone kind of an aesthetic change. I saw at least a couple pictures of it in a video that was played during the Greenlight Super Show when they were showing off kind of a video of where the pre-alpha was at. It is a good look for it. I think they've kind of cleaned up the graphics, made them look a little bit nicer in my opinion. So I am looking forward not only to the other gameplay element that'll be shown in that alpha build, but also the updated graphics element, because it should look quite a bit different from what we're seeing here. We want to quickly press that and then get out of there, and let's just drop down. Can we? We can! Yay! Okay, so we're on room 4. Yep. Ghosty, ghosty. I'm telling you, Ghost, don't you hurt me. I know where you sleep. I know where you sleep! In a coffin somewhere. Because you're dead. You're dead, 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 and I want to kill you again, but you won't let me. I hate you. I hate you, Ghost! Okay, well with that I think I'm going to call my video on this to an end. I will probably be playing more of this demo myself, so if you are in the alpha, I do recommend picking this up. It is definitely fun to play through. I think I can get a lot more time out of this. Essentially I just got other stuff going on tonight, and since this isn't the build that we were kind of looking towards, I figured that I would do a quick look at it and have more in-depth come the time that the final alpha build, well, not the final alpha build, the first alpha build, not pre-alpha, is released. I'll be doing probably several videos on that. I might do another one of this as well. That's entirely undecided right now. It's going to depend on my time availability before the alpha is released, as well as a couple other factors, like just, if I feel like it's going to be entertaining content, if I have more to say. Yeah, but for now I think I'm going to call it quits on this one. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick look. Be sure to check out in the next few days. Sometime next week when this alpha is released, I will have at least a video up of it, if not a few of them. So look forward to that. I'm sure that it's going to be a much more thorough experience than this, although this has its merits as well, don't get me wrong. Thank you all for watching. As always, any kind of comments, support, in the way of likes or subscriptions, any kind of just happy feelings that you can give me, or any kind of ripping me apart for being bad at this game. Whichever the case may be, feel free to offer it up. For now, I will be off. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.